What is going on, everybody? Sports expert here, and we are making our Week 1 NFL picks video today. So, it is Wednesday night. Tomorrow, the action kicks off with the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. So, it'll be an interesting game. So, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notification bell, like the video, comment what you think about these picks, who you got this week. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our Week 1 NFL picks. The first game will be the Cowboys versus the Buccaneers, and in that game, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeating the Dallas Cowboys 34-17. As I think Tom Brady, with the amount of weapons he has and the offensive line, I think they're going to easily score a decent amount of points. They'll be one of the top 5, top 10 offenses in football, and with the Cowboys defense struggling over the past couple of seasons, I just don't know if I see much change against the Tampa team. I think they can definitely improve, but I think it's going to be a rough start in Week 1. And without Zach Martin, the offensive line is now depleted. Not sure if Tyron Smith is healthy either. So if they have to go with a guy like Terrence Steele, they're screwed on offense. So give me the Buccaneers 34-17. Tom Brady will throw for a few touchdowns. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. Note, I do not like taking the Atlanta Falcons because, they're not very good at football. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning 27-21 here, as Jalen Hurts will go into Atlanta and get the Eagles to 1-0. Eagles team that doesn't have very high expectations this season, but I think they do start off the season with a bang, 1-0. So, yeah, but the Falcons can easily win this game too with Matt Ryan. The offensive line is very young. There's questions still, and getting rid of Julio Jones will definitely make the offense regress a bit. So, and the Eagles still have that ferocious defensive line with Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, and Javon Hargrave. So, definitely can get to the quarterback. And the Falcons, one of the worst defenses in football. I don't know what they've done to improve that defense. Absolutely nothing. They fired Dan Quinn. We'll see what happens. They have a new defensive coordinator. So, yeah, they hired that guy from the Bears, I believe. So, 27-21 Eagles here. I think they pull out a win. They don't have much on offense, but, I think a guy like Devontae Smith or Jalen Reagor will be able to step up against a weak Falcons secondary. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. The game's in Buffalo, and I have the Buffalo Bills winning 20-13, with TJ Watt not getting much practice action. Not like that matters, because he is one of the best defensive players in football. It could still make an impact on the team and how they're going to construct a playbook against the Buffalo Bills. So, but I still don't think the Bills score a boatload of points. I have them scoring 20, but I only have the Steelers scoring 13, as I just don't have much faith in this offense, despite the amount of weapons on the team. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Eric Ebron, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris. And yeah, so I just don't see anything happening with the Steelers offense due to the offensive line. Oh, they signed Trey Turner. Trey Turner's terrible, by the way. He's washed. So, yeah, I'm not expecting much from him. And they have Juju Smith-Schuster, but still. I'm not on the Steelers train this season. Most NFL fans probably aren't either. That offensive line is hideous. The Minnesota Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Vikings travel to Cincinnati for a 1:00 game. So, and I have the Minnesota Vikings going into Cincinnati and picking up a double-digit win, and as I have the Vikings winning 30-20. I think Kirk Cousins will throw a few touchdown passes. A new revamped Bengals defense, which will definitely improve this season, but at the same time, they're going to have to learn the playbook and may take a week or two to get going. So, which happens to a lot of defenses and offense, so the Bengals shouldn't be ashamed of that. So, I have the Vikings taking this one 30-20 with I think guys like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are going to have to step up now, with tight end Irv Smith Jr. out for the year due to a meniscus injury. So, and the Bengals' offensive line is still a major question. And Joe Burrow has had mental struggles going on the field this season due to his torn ACL recovery and everything. So, yeah, I have the Minnesota Vikings starting 1-0. The San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions. This is not going to be one of the most interesting games of 2021 Week 1, as honestly, the 49ers should be able to win this game. But, crazier things have happened, and at home, the Lions could make it interesting. And I think it'll be a close game. I just don't see the 49ers doing much offensively to start, at least, because the QB situation is definitely twisted. Because Trey Lance struggled in the preseason. You don't know what Jimmy G is going to do. Will he be fully healthy? We'll see. Has the 49ers win this game 16-10. Jared Goff, I think he's a decent quarterback. I really like the offensive line and the potential there. But I do have a problem with the Lions receiving core. Their best receiver is probably Tyrell Williams. Behind him is Quintez Cephas and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They do have TJ Hawkinson, by the way, and DeAndre Swift as weapons, but just don't. Against a 49ers defense that's going to be fully healthy this year, I don't see them doing much with the lack of offensive production at the wide receiver position. The Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans. I think this will be a complete shootout. Two weak defenses. The Cardinals did address their defensive line problem and signed J.J. Watt, but they have absolutely no secondary, as Malcolm Butler has surprisingly announced his retirement right before the season due to a personal matter. So Robert Alford may be starting there, and that's a problem because Robert Alford is not the type of guy you want to be starting week one. So the Tennessee Titans have one of the best scoring offenses in football. And without Arthur Smith, they may not score as many points, but I do see a lot of points with the receiving core of A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Josh Reynolds, who I think is very underrated. And tight end's going to be a challenge, though, with Jeff Swaim as the tight end for the Titans, as Jonnu Smith has moved on to the New England Patriots. But I think it'll be enough against a depleted Cardinals secondary. The Titans don't have an amazing defense either, but with Bud Dupree playing, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they approach the Cardinals offensive line. And I think this is one of those games where I think if there's a team that's going to make a late push in the fourth quarter, it'd be the Tennessee Titans at home. The Seattle Seahawks and the Indianapolis Colts. I have the Indianapolis Colts winning this game 28-23 at home. I believe the Seattle Seahawks are favored. Carson Wentz is a full participant at practice, which is definitely a good sign for Colts fans and everybody around. So I have the Colts winning this game. The Seahawks defense is just not an improved unit to me. They did get rid of Jerron Reed as well. KJ Wright's gone. They've actually declined. I know they traded for Sidney Jones, but at the same time, it's got to learn the playbook. I don't know if that's a major upgrade or anything like that. And Jamal Adams is going to have a better year. He's getting big money, so they're going to have to depend on him. I think the Seahawks offense could be interesting. I just don't know. I mean, I like their weapons on offense. Chris Carson, who I thought was going to leave in free agency, he stayed on a cheap deal. They have DK Metcalf still, Tyler Lockett, so David Moore is not there anymore. But they do have a lot of depth at the tight end position, but have some injury problems, especially with second-year tight end Colby Parkinson. And that offensive line is still a question, as there were reports that Russell Wilson wanted out of Seattle because of the offensive line issue, and it's ongoing. And Dwayne Brown just was able to agree on a new contract with the Seahawks. Not an extension, but new incentives and everything. But that's basically what they got on the offensive line. Him and Damian Lewis. You're not going to see a ton on the Seahawks offensive line, but they can still win games. But give me the Colts in this one, 28-23. The Colts defense is one of the best units in football, and they're going to be able to stop a Seahawks offense with a lot of pop. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Washington football team. Most people are picking Washington, which makes sense because of their defense and they're at home. But give me the Chargers in this one in a bit of an upset. It's not an upset according to the betting odds, but it's basically a fan upset where everyone's picking Washington. I'll go with the Chargers. I'll go with Justin Herbert. Chargers offense will clutch out last second field goal down 21-22, something like that. So Justin Herbert will be able to, I like the offensive line. I love the addition of Corey Linsley. Him and his former teammate Brian Bulaga are now paired up. I think that's going to create great chemistry. I love the draft pick of Rashawn Slater, future All-Pro for sure. So, yeah, as Washington, their offense is going to be interesting to watch, though. Their offensive line is kind of mediocre other than Brandon Sheriff. I do like Chase Roulier, though, so we'll see what happens there. But, Ryan Fitzpatrick, is he the guy that's going to get it done at the end of the day? I'm not certain that will happen. And with the news that Curtis Samuel might be missing week one, definitely would not be looking forward to watching the Washington football team offense this week. But they do still have Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas. The New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers face off in Carolina, and all I got to say is this is a revenge game for Sam Darnold, and he's going to absolutely destroy the New York Jets. 33-12. Zach Wilson's going to have a rough debut. Robert Saleh is going to have to find a way to win football games because I don't think it's going to happen in week 1. I love the Robert Saleh hire, but I just don't think he's going to be very successful early. That's just me. But, any of you guys can comment on that. As I think you got basically a duo looking for a revenge game. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, who just got extended by the Carolina Panthers. So definitely interesting to see what they can do versus this weak Jets defense. They cut Bless Austin, one of their better corners last year, which really confused me. So definitely a downgrade there for the Jets, and they have no Carl Lawson. They traded for Shaq Lawson, but I don't see him doing much with upside as it comes to upside as a edge rusher. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. I have the Houston Texans pulling an upset at home and winning 20-17. I think Tyrod Taylor is enough to be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I still have some nice receiving options in Brandon Cooks, and I'm not 100% sure who else they have, but they cut Kiki Cutie. They traded Randall Cobb, so it's gonna be a whole new Texans team. They signed a ton of veterans this season, and 31 of their 53 players that are on their 53-man roster were not on their squad last year. So it's definitely interesting to see. Obviously, Deshaun Watson will be out, but I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a shaky debut, as there's guys on the Texans defensive line that are going to develop a bit more. Jonathan Greenland, Ross Blacklock, and the Jaguars offensive line is horrendous. So Trevor Lawrence is going to have to adjust to the NFL, especially the regular season. I think the Texans pulled out a veteran win. The Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Cleveland Browns pulling off an upset on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Chiefs probably have one of the more inexperienced and younger offensive lines in the game, as they have two rookies and a first-year starter and Lucas Yang, who they drafted in the 3rd round last year out of TCU. And they also have Trey Smith starting at right guard, which was announced today, the 7th-round pick out of Tennessee. He fell in the draft due to blood clot concerns, so definitely interesting to see what he will do. I think he had a pretty decent camp, though, so that could be huge. And the Browns' defensive tackle unit isn't very strong, so we'll see what happens there. But with the defensive line consisting of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, I think they'll be able to dominate the Chiefs' offensive line. And you know what happened in Tampa versus Tampa. In Tampa, they were actually the home team, obviously, for the Super Bowl. Yeah, it wasn't very pretty. And the Browns will put up enough offense, I believe, to win this game. And Tyrann Mathieu, he might not be playing. He still has symptoms from COVID, so which, is surprising. He hasn't been able to test negative enough, so that's definitely a huge storyline for this game. The Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots, giving me the Patriots at home 22-9. Mac Jones will have a decent debut against a decent Dolphins defense, but the Dolphins offense is going to be one of the low lifes of the NFL this year. I just don't see much into it. I like the Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle additions, but until Tua proves me wrong, I'm going to be low on the Dolphins offense. Their offensive line is young and sketchy too, with the hip problem and everything. I just don't see much at this point, what I'm saying? With the Dolphins offense, they need better offensive line play. They need consistent quarterback play. The running back depth is nice, but they're going to have to step it up in that department as well with Myles Gaskin. I like Myles Gaskin, but maybe have a 2-3 back committee. The Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. It was going to be in New Orleans, but obviously because of the hurricane, it won't be. It'll be in Jacksonville, so give me the Packers 35-19. Saints defense is a bit overrated. Their secondary is kind of trash, so give me the Packers in this one. Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP, I think will do enough. And I don't see much with Jameis Winston week 1. I think he'll do well, but I don't think the rest of the team will do well enough for him to be able to lead the Green Bay Packers, or to lead the New Orleans Saints to win against the Green Bay Packers. the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants, a very low-scoring game. The Broncos win this one on the road 13-6. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb will absolutely carve that Giants offensive line, which is probably the worst in football. I mean, what I saw from the Giants in preseason and training camp, the Giants could literally win 2 to 3 games this season. That's how bad it is. I don't really care how good their defense can be. They still lost depth there. I'm not an Adoree Jackson fan. I just don't think the Giants will be a very good football team this year. And honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I think they'll go 3-14 or 4-13. Just don't see much. The Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. I have the Rams going 31-20 in this game for a win. So Andy Dalton will be starting for the Chicago Bears. They're not going to put up much offense. I think the Bears will get some points at garbage time. That's why I have the Rams allowing 20 points with their defense to Chicago. But the Rams will have a big lead in this game at some point at home for sure. Matthew Stafford will be able to hit his targets. They got a nice, solid, young offensive line consisting of David Edwards, Austin Corbett, and others. So I like the receiving core with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and the tight end Tyler Higbee. They did lose Jarrett Everett to the Seahawks, but I still think Tyler Higbee is one of the better tight ends in all of football. Very underrated player. And I think the Rams are 31-20. Watch out for Aaron Donald and Andy Dalton. It's not going to be exciting. Cody Whitehair as well. The Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders, 42-29. I have the Ravens winning this game. The Ravens offense is going to have a field day against the awful Raiders defense. They signed KJ Wright, but again, playbook issues, who knows how much he'll play at week 1. So, and the Raiders, same thing with the Bears. Garbage time points is where they're going to get most of their points. It could be a close game until the fourth quarter, but the Ravens apparently just pull away with 17, 20 points in the fourth with Lamar Jackson. I think he'll be able to figure out the Raiders defense as the game goes on with his run ability and even his pass ability. People like to criticize his pass ability, but it's kind of solid. So I think it's actually pretty solid. But I have the Raiders scoring 29, but not enough, as the Ravens will win. But that is my week 1 picks, everybody. We'll wonder how I did. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll see if we go 1-0, 0-1 to start the season. What do you guys think about my picks? Leave a like, hit the subscribe, turn on post notifications. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm out, guys. Sports expert here. Peace.